Hello, my name is Keilyn. I work with an organization called Asian American Midwest Progressives, and today I'm going to be talking with you about the Illinois Fair Tax Amendment. So, what exactly is the Illinois Fair Tax Amendment? The answer is that it is an amendment that will reform our state constitution to change it from a flat income tax state and system to a graduated income tax state and system. What that means is that instead of taxing every single person at a single rate, higher rates for higher incomes and lower rates for people with low and moderate incomes. Why do we need fair tax reform? Why do we want to amend our state's constitution? The reason is that the old way of taxing income in Illinois is unfair and inadequate. It's unfair because taxes fall too heavily on working people, and it's inadequate because it doesn't properly fund public services. I'm talking about things like education, healthcare, infrastructure, jobs, public safety, even human services. So what exactly does the Fair Tax Amendment mean for you? Well, fair tax reform will lift the burden from the middle class and those struggling to get there. 97% of taxpayers will get a tax cut or pay no more than they do now. The fair tax will require wealthy people to pay their fair share, only increasing taxes on those who make more than $250,000 a year. The vast majority of the increases will be paid by millionaires and billionaires. So only 3% of people in our state make more than $250,000 a year. Those are the individuals who are wealthy enough to afford a slight tax increase, and that will help improve quality of life for everyone in our state as a result. Fair tax reform will raise more than $3 billion a year that can help fund education, healthcare, human services, state and local government, and responsibly pay the state's bills. Illinois' low and middle income families are some of the most overtaxed in the nation. The reason why is because we have a flat income tax, and that's stipulated in our state's constitution. It's also known as a regressive tax. What you have in these regressive tax states like Illinois is low and middle income families paying the same rates as millionaires and billionaires. That's why we are hoping to amend our state's constitution to change that. Framing it in an Asian American context, I wanted to talk about the term cost-burdened families. So that's a term used to describe those who pay more than 30% of their income for housing and have difficulty affording basic necessities such as food, clothing, transportation, and medical care. In Chicago, approximately 46% of Asian Americans are cost-burdened homeowners, and among renters, the number is even higher at 49%. Asian Americans in Chicago are considered to have depressed economic outcomes. Immigrants of Asian origin account for a third of Chicago's Asian population, yet they constitute nearly half of Asian families in poverty. There is no doubt our community is suffering under Illinois' regressive income tax structure. Things cannot continue this way. Economically and morally, voting yes for fair tax is the right thing to do. So how do we win the fair tax for Illinois? We win the fair tax by voting yes on the constitutional amendment on the ballot for the November 2020 general election. So a yes vote of more than 50% of those voting in the election or more than 60% of those voting on the question is required for passage. So when you receive your ballot, whether you go to a polling place or you're voting by mail, you will see an amendment that's listed that we will be voting on. If you vote yes on this amendment, which is the Illinois Fair Tax Amendment, that means that we can improve quality of life for our community in Illinois. If the fair tax does not pass, then taxes will increase for everyone and not just the 3%. And that's because we would still have that inequitable flat tax system. If we don't get to pass fair tax, life will become a lot harder and more unbearable for the folks in our community who are already on the margins of society, and we cannot let that happen. If we pass the fair tax, it will really set things right here in Illinois. It will help low and middle income families, and finally ensure the wealthy pay their fair share. We hope that you will support winning the fair tax for our state. In doing so, you help ensure Illinois can invest in healthcare, education, jobs, infrastructure, and human services. And like I've said before, the best way to improve quality of life in our community is by voting yes on the Fair Tax Amendment. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful in understanding what the Illinois Fair Tax is and why we need to support its passage. Thank you again for your time and attention, and I hope you have a wonderful day.